is not an April Fool's joke at all. I repeat, this is not an April Fool's joke. I've been getting a lot of questions from a lot of people about where Zubin has been. Zubin Mehenti, our co-host here with the show, has been dealing with some health issues that are not related to COVID. Him and I chatted yesterday, and he wanted me to share with everybody that he has been recently diagnosed with diabetes and took some time off to personally address it. His radio family, all of us, everybody here at the Seaport, everybody in Bristol, we are all behind him. We miss him. He is hopeful to return later this month. We can't wait to have him back when he's ready. And the reason why we haven't addressed it is because we all wanted to make sure it was okay with Zubin to share this information. And I think the beautiful thing about where Zubin is now is that he wants to share it to make sure that other people take it as seriously as he has taken it in order to get checked out and make sure that not only your health, but also your mental health during a very troubling time that we all had as a society over the past year is as best as it can be. So I wanted to take time off the top of our show to address that. Zubin, we love you. We hope you come back stronger than ever, and we're ready for you when you do, brother.
Right, and we'll hold it down for you in the meantime. And, of course, as they say in the business, the show must go on, and we'll continue to do that. Alan Hahn, Chris Kenny now joining us here as well on the set with Jay Will. And as we move into the different topics of sports, and Major League Baseball's opening day today and a full slate of games, we're excited about that. The NFL never has an off season. It just keeps going and going, and the headlines keep coming. And, in fact, there was one yesterday that we discussed very briefly, but it is still something that needs our attention, and that involves the Green Bay Packers, a question we just talked to Diana Rossini about, with Aaron Rodgers and his future. And this is really what stands out. You heard a little bit of it as we rejoined. This is Packers CEO Mark Murphy on Tuesday when asked why he wouldn't want to do something to ensure Aaron Rodgers is the Packers quarterback beyond just this season. Here's his reply.
Why haven't you guys done anything with Aaron's contract yet?
No, I can't really get into specific players. Yeah, we've been able to create room with others.
Don't you guys want to ensure, though, that he's your quarterback beyond just this season?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into the specifics again. Good try, though, Rob.
Okay.
That was
awkward laugh. Yeah. the reporter's job is to ask the question. So, Of course, it's a good question. But Chris, it isn't the obvious question, and maybe the question to ask every single time a coach or executive of the Packers is available to the media until there's an answer.
Well, I think the Packers are giving you an answer, and they gave an answer last spring in the NFL draft in the first round when they took Jordan Love. Really? And they're giving you another answer when they chose not to go the route of the restructure and to pay him out his signing bonus as scheduled in that contract that he negotiated back in 2018. The Packers are telling you that they're preparing for life after Aaron Rodgers. One front last offseason was with the personnel. This front this offseason is with the financial house and making sure that they can have Aaron Rodgers on a year-to-year proposition rather than committing cap dollars and resources to him in future years. So I think that this is Mark Murphy in his roundabout way of saying we're getting ready for life after Aaron Rodgers. We don't know exactly when that is, but because we gave him that contract in 2018, we're going to be the ones to determine when exactly that happens, not the player.
This always seems like it's becoming a bigger and bigger issue with inside the NFL, right? And I know a lot of owners don't want to give power to individual players such as the quarterbacks. But if I'm Aaron, I'm sitting there saying, enough, man. Like, enough, CC. What have you guys done to surround me with talent? Like, I'm making, decent players look great. You draft Jordan Love, you bring him in, you put me in that position. You know what I'll do? That's fine. I'll dust off my shoulders. I'll answer the call, and I'll have an MVP-like season. Mm-hmm. I'll have an MVP-like season. Can you draft me some help, though? Can you pay me what I'm worth? I feel like for Aaron, this is where I sit there and I say, all right, let's have a standoff then. Let's see who wins this game. Ooh. When it's all said and done, CC, let's see who wins this game from a PR perspective and from a team perspective.
Here's where that gets a little bit dangerous if you're Aaron Rodgers. He saw what happened to Brett Favre and how that fan base treated Favre with how Favre handled the retirement.
But Favre kept going back and forth. CC, I don't want to play. I'm not sure.
I hear you, but they had drafted Aaron Rodgers. He had been on that team for, 3 years before they named him the starter? So it's not like they didn't, as an organization, prepare for life after Brett Favre. And now Aaron Rodgers is going through the same thing. He just so happens to be on the other side of it. But he also understands that how he handles this is going to determine whether or not he has a home after he gets done with his playing career. And as an athlete, you know this, Jay. You want to have some place that you can go back to and call your home. You got Duke as your home if you want to go back there. Like, you want to have that place. Aaron Rodgers, for him, Green Bay is that place. I mean, they have a Aaron Rodgers day in that county because of what he's been able to do. So if he handles this the wrong way, I just feel like this could be a situation where Aaron Rodgers wouldn't have the reception when he's done playing that he feels like he would deserve based on the production that he's had as a quarterback.
But yes, CC, Duke is my home. Mm-hmm. But if Coach K and I got into like a verbal spat where he tried to bully me, like it's gonna make it awkward for me now. Like, and I'm not saying I'm Coach K. I am not Coach K, right? And if we're comparing Coach K to the Packers, I get it. The Packers are way bigger than Aaron Rodgers. They will be able to move on. That's what the business of sport is.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, like, I'm a staple here. I've done everything by the book. I've been right. The only thing I've done is a beautiful mystery because I'm curious to understand, how do you guys value me? How do you value me? And we know sometimes marriages lead to a bad divorce. And at the end of the day, I love Aaron Rodgers, and I know Wisconsin loves Aaron Rodgers, but I think Wisconsin fans, Packer fans, you have to sit there and say, who's more at fault here? Do we like the way the Packers are handling this? Do we like the way the Packers are trying to play this game with Aaron Rodgers?
Well, I'm sure that the Packers fans might not feel comfortable with the way that this is playing out publicly, but the Packers fans have probably enjoyed the most stability at the quarterback position of any team in the National Football League the last 25 years. So, I mean, they understand there's a method to the madness. There's a formula for how that organization does business, and it's a formula that has allowed Aaron Rodgers as a starting quarterback to go 126, 63-1. It's not just the quarterback, even though he's outstanding as a football player. This organization has put some pieces around him. Just because they don't go out in free agency and spend big every offseason doesn't mean that they don't surround him with a solid supporting cast. I mean, they pay $12 million a year to a running back in today's day and age. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's not
Do you think the cast is enough, though, Chris?
Here's what I will say.
Your personal opinion, is the cast enough?
Here's what I will say. There's a contrast in how the Green Bay Packers are handling their star quarterback as opposed to what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are doing with Tom Brady. And I think everybody acknowledges that. And because Aaron came out on the losing side of that game in the NFC Championship, I feel like that has created more urgency within him in terms of being able to capitalize at being in the prime of his career, being at the height of his powers. The fact that the Packers organization hasn't pushed all the chips to the middle of the table to win a chip in the next couple of years with him is probably the part that's created this frustration and this push and pull between the player and the organization.
Yeah, Chris, I do think Tom Brady is a big part of what, like, even if it's the periphery, it's still in the conscious of what's going on in Green Bay because, A, he got his freedom. He left behind a franchise that he led to, the pinnacle. Like, he brought that franchise to become one of the greatest franchises in the history of sport during his time there. Left, and now had great success with a team that is basically like saying, unlike in New England, in Tampa, it's what do you want, what do you need, what can we do, and let's do it together. Aaron Rodgers probably sees that and thinks, I'd love to have that. Now, he won't have his freedom, however, like Tom Brady got. He's got to wait for his freedom. And in the meantime, I guess what we were trying to figure out was, is Aaron Rodgers just simply looking to get more money guaranteed so he has that security? Or does he want to just get a new extension that keeps him in Green Bay for the rest of his career and he doesn't have to think about moving on? But I do feel like we have reached that end point. Packers are ready to move on from him, clearly. They're setting it up, like you said, they're setting it up for life after Aaron. Is that at least accurate, Chris? They're setting themselves up for life after.
Yeah.
Being ready for it by having a young quarterback, by putting the roster together where we can have success now, but we're not locked in down the road, where we're not stuck because now we gave an aging quarterback too much money, eating up a lot of cap. So for Aaron Rodgers, I think you reached that point, as he's hosting Jeopardy now, to start asking himself a question, or maybe answering it with a question of really, what should I do next? And is it demand a trade? Is that what it is? Because that's what kind of power does he have even in doing that? Because all that does, and I agree, all that does is now create a negative vibe towards him from the fan base in Green Bay that right now
Why
obviously
would that create
reveres
a
him.
negative vibe? I don't understand.
Because he's still under contract.
Yeah, he's still under
Yeah,
contract. Yeah.
that's why, and it's not something he should do. Again, what Tom Brady didn't demand a trade. Tom Brady didn't do anything
Tom
other
Brady
than
got
wait.
cut.
Yeah,
He got
wait
cut.
until his time was up, and then he said, "Okay, I'll move on and I'll win there too." And maybe Aaron Rodgers has to do the same thing. That's what we'll wait certainly to see what happens. All right, so we have Chris Canty here with us, KJZ, Alan Hahn with Jay Will, ESPN Radio. What led to one NBA player? What led him to criticize a team that just traded him? And also, why one NFL